Welcome to Ring Talk. Me, Martin Theobald, and with Steve Goodwin of Goodwin Boxing, who's had a long day down at the Hayemaker Open workouts, which we're going to touch on in a bit. So we'll try not to take up too much of his time because it's a long week ahead as well. We'll start off with the weekend that's just been. So down at Wembley Arena, you had a number of lads out on the card of the Groves Cox undercard. How was that for the lads that took part?
It's great. I thought it was the best production of a show that I've seen.
Isn't it brilliant?
It looks fantastic. I think they're doing a brilliant job with it. I thought the whole setup was great. I thought George Groves just showed that he's just a class above Jamie Cox. I think class showed in that fight.
Too big?
Too big, too strong, too good, too skilled.
Too experienced, I think.
Although I did say that I thought that he would beat him, but I've still maintained that I think Eubank will beat him in the fight in January.
Yeah.
But it was good. And our lads got experience. Four lads won. Kean Thomas moved on to 8-0 with a really impressive knockout. Dean Richardson looked fantastic. He won his fight. Michael Devine was very solid in his win. Yusuf Kamari was brilliant for his second fight, and unfortunately Dan Keenan suffered a reversal, which we can...
Yeah, I think we've got a question about that.
We'll pass on to that, but Dean Richardson was fantastic. I mean, he's 5-0 with 5 KOs now, Dino, so he's really coming along really well. You've
said before about you quite like the Conor Benn fight. Oh
my God, we'll take it a heartbeat, but they're never going to take it. Because he will iron out Conor Benn inside 4 rounds.
For those that haven't seen the Dino Richardson knockout, we're going to cut to a clip of it now. I mean, that's another impressive one because it was the last one. He was at Wembley Arena, wasn't it? Where he took that little step back and landed the uppercut on the guy. That I just thought he showed a real maturity for somebody of his age and that far into his career to be able to stop. You see so many lads that go for a finish with a flurry of punches. I think you see it with Dino that he doesn't do that. He's able to take his time and place a shot very well.
I thought it was good the guy waved him in, so Dino thought, okay, then it's fine. He was just telling his mate, he waved him in, so Dino said to me, he said, he waved me, and I just thought, okay, then I'll get rid of you now, and he just went in and just knocked him out, knocked him down. It was great for us, but it's very important, as I said to him afterwards, he's only 22, so I mean, we'll take the Conor Benn fight tomorrow because it's an easy win. But generally, we're not going to go for titles as such until we're going to deliver him at the right time. But I think we can build him into something very special.
Does that get harder to matchmake somebody who's 5-0, 5 KOs, rather than someone who's 5-0, 1 KO, 4 points?
More expensive.
Yeah.
A lot more expensive.
So keep selling tickets, Dino.
Yeah, you better crack on. I know, because people want more money, or you have to improve the standard. The standard will rise. But no, he's doing everything we asked of him, and he's delivering. He's working really hard in the gym, and it's paying off for him in the ring.
Yeah, and he's a really nice lad as well.
He is great. Cab driver by day.
Yeah.
Boxer by night. That's a great job.
And then we'll look forward this weekend. Then you've got the David Hay, the Hay Ringmaster. Ringstar, show. I was getting Ollie Pinnock's name. So that's down at the O2 Indigo on Friday.
Yeah, top of the bill, Joyce Ian Lewison.
Yeah,
I'll speak to Ian Lewison today.
How's he looking? Does he look like he's trained properly?
I don't think he'll ever look like he's trained properly. As he said, the thing was he got to do the workout, and he said to the media, "Be quick, you've got 1.5 minutes for a tank, so you've only got 1.5 minutes to film it." He looks like he's trained more than he did for Dylan White. But to give you an example, when I managed him, we got him down to between 17.7, that sort of level. I wanted him down to 17.3. I think he'll weigh 18.10.
Crikey, that's big, isn't it?
But he's 20 stone for Dylan White, so he's made an improvement from there. And I think he's lighter than he was against Dylan White. Ian Lewison will never be where he should be, which is 16 stone, 16.5 stone. So you've got to take it as it is. He's, in my opinion, this could be a 4-round war.
Yeah, I mean, irrespective of the weight he's at and the condition, he's still one of the most dangerous heavyweights for 4 or 5 rounds.
He's got that many rounds in him, and to my opinion, he's got to get rid of Joe Joyce inside 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That if he doesn't, then I don't think he'll win. But he has a chance of getting rid of him in 3 and 4, and I think it's just a really great fight. It's a fight I'm really looking forward to. Yeah,
and then on the undercard, obviously you've been down there, as we mentioned earlier, at the Hay Gym today for the open workouts. How did your lads find that experience?
Yeah, they enjoyed it. I mean, they're all hoping to get a slot on the television. The Dave Show, for those of you that are watching, starts at 9 and finishes at 11. Three live fights on, which are Michael Venom Page, who I expect to win by knockout. You've then got the Joe Joyce Ian Lewison fight. I can't imagine that going the distance. And then you've got Willie Hutchinson, which I expect that to end inside the distance. So with that, we're hoping that a few of our guys, the ones that have the most exciting fights, will be shown. And I'm sure you'll see some of our guys on the Dave TV show. So that's going to be great for them. So they're going to be battling to be the most impressive, so they get TV time. Yeah.
So you've got Adrian Martin, who's a late addition to it.
Well, Adrian fought 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago now, at Brentwood.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to take some time off boxing for personal reasons. Yeah. Most of them don't understand what that is. And I saw an opportunity to get him out quickly on this show and give him a big stage to fight on, and that's what I've done. And therefore for Adrian, he's got an opportunity before he has some time out. So I'm delighted to provide the opportunity for him. And he was down there at the open workout today doing his stuff.
Good.
Doing his stuff with Joe down there.
Then Tunji,
yeah, he's 2-0. He had a great fight against Jordan Granham last time, and we've got him out quickly. He's come on. Both of these lads have come on at the end when the John O'Donnell fight fell through, so we've replaced it with 2 4-rounders.
Yeah.
Tunji, I can't say anything, but he's made a great start to his career at a late age in life, and I think he deserves a chance to be on such a good platform.
Yeah. Then Nick Harper, coming off the back of what was a fairly brutal knockout when he was last in the ring.
Yeah, he was unfortunate in that last fight. His career's developed really nicely. He's winning the fight, left his chin in the air, got caught.
Yeah.
He's since changed trainer from Don Charles. They've decided to split. So he's with Kiri Constantine for this fight. So we'll have a look and see how he gets on. He fights Jindrik Vilecki, but I think the most important thing for Nick is to get his confidence back and get back in the ring, and that's the most important thing we want out of this fight. I don't want too many dramas in this fight. Hopefully he'll perform very well. I know he's training really hard, and they've been doing 2 or 3 sessions a day, so they've been working immensely hard on him. So I'm hoping to see Nick do really well.
And he's always in phenomenal shape, isn't he?
He looks fantastic.
Big Dwayne Sinclair.
Well, Dwayne's a nice guy. He's a maths teacher, as we know.
Yeah.
He's 6-0. And I just wanted to help. He's one of the nicest guys you'll meet. He works really hard, and I wanted to give his career a kickstart. He's fought all his fights so far at your call, and this has elevated definitely his ticket sales and the amount of people wanted to come and watch him, and I wanted to elevate that for him. So, I'm really delighted to see him on this platform.
Yeah, as he had to shorten his entrance. I've mentioned this before. Dwayne has the most questionable entrance I've seen of a boxer.
Well, I think they'll rush him because they're not too bad, to be honest. I think if the fight's all going the full distance, he may be rushed. He may be told to cut.
On that basis, I can only hope they go the full distance. That entrance, Dwayne. We need words. I'll speak to you Friday.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
He's a big man. I'll have nice words.
Yeah.
There'll be kind words, constructive. Tom Ansell,
all action fighter, made his debut at your call. Works really hard on his inside the ring. He's just really exciting to watch. Outside the ring, he works really hard on building a fan base, and he made his debut, and I thought he deserved the chance to again get on a platform such as this, and he's sold a lot of tickets, and he's done really well, so full credit to him for all the work he's done on it.
Luke Robinson.
Well, Luke's a great guy from West London. He's sold a lot of tickets again, and I think it's good we want to give our fighters opportunities of fighting on these big shows, such as the Sauerland show last week, and now this show this week, and it's really great for them to be able to change it up and get these opportunities that other fighters not with us can't get. So for Luke, he's got Luke and Sean, both brothers fight together. They've done all their fights at your call, and it breaks it up for them to get these sort of opportunities. So I'm delighted that Luke's able to fight at the O2, and I'm looking forward to seeing a really good performance from him on the night.
He's a really nice lad as well. A lot of time, really having trained with him for a couple of months, and he's a really sound lad.
No, I'm expecting to see him put on a really good performance this weekend. I think he's a very talented kid, and I'm expecting to see good things of him in the future.
Yeah, and then AD Burden was the last one down at the workout today as well.
I mean, AD comes from Aylesbury, and he'd be the first to admit that one of his biggest problems has been ticket sales, and we had a good meeting to decide how to improve that. And to be honest, of all the lads that are selling, he's going to be either the number 1 or number 2 ticket seller on the night. So for AD, part of our job, and I know I keep going on about selling tickets, but as you know, even with the big promoters, they want somebody who's got a following. If you haven't got a following, the big TV promoters aren't really interested. So part of my job isn't just getting them to win their fights and it's to help build up their fan base. And by doing things like this, it helps them to create a new following. AD said he sold tickets to people he doesn't even know or never met before.
Good
So it's fantastic to him. He's 4-0. He's a young kid again. Will develop his career, but he's not ready for big tests yet. But he's ready for these slow development fights.
And I saw as well on AD's social media on Twitter, he's giving away 2 free tickets to. I can't remember the details of the competition, but 2 free tickets to fans, which I think stuff like that's brilliant for boxers to do. Just to retweet this or whatever you win. At least it shows a bit of initiative, a bit of willingness to invest in themselves. Yeah. I'm a big fan of doing stuff like that. So
he's doing great, and again, he's doing a great job now. He's working really hard at building himself in and out of the ring. We try and tell every boxer, it's not enough anymore just to be a good fighter. You've got to be able to create a brand.
Yeah.
So our job is to help both. And I think with the fighters on last week, the fighters on this week, we're talking about 13 of our boxers within the space of 6 days have had opportunities on big televised shows in the home corner. Show me somebody else that's doing that at the moment.
Yeah. And then there was the issue of Jordan Dennis, and is Jordan 100% on? I'm not sure.
Well, what happened, as I always say, we had him booked to fight Lewis Van Pooch. It was always agreed. He was always fighting this Friday. Then we find out that Lewis Van Pooch and his manager took a fight on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then that meant he couldn't fight within 7 days. And then they just said, "I'm really sorry, made a mistake, but it's okay making a mistake. But this is costly for poor Jordan Dennis, who's now in desperate search of an opponent at the last minute." So doing something like that, it's just
the repercussions.
The repercussions down the line to the show where he sold a lot of tickets, to the income of the show, to the opponent, to Jordan Dennis, who's trained hard for 7 weeks for this opportunity, and now potentially he's left without a fight because somebody decided to take a fight 6 days before when they were contracted to do this.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Well, I mean, it's a bit like you saw Craig Richards on Friday night on the Next Gen show. Was due to face Ty Booth. But Ty Booth turned up too light to be able to take the fight, and so they couldn't do it. And so poor old Craig had to stand outside and give back the ticket money himself, I believe, to
it is.
You feel for
if you've got a weight or an agreement, you should adhere to that. And obviously, none of our, it's gutting for Jordan, and I'm disappointed that well, for whatever reason, whether it was an error or not, that somebody made that mistake, and it has caused this repercussion, which is really, really unfair. Okay.
So that covers the lads that have been at the open workout. Friday night tickets, they still available from fighters?
The fighters are basically you've got your tickets available till Thursday.
Okay.
So if you want to get tickets from the fighters, it's obviously better to get from the fighters because it helps them for their earnings.
Always do that. If you're buying fight tickets, get them from fighters.
Because it gives them a chance to earn money from it. So I think that's a really great thing. So they've still got them.
And then it's a box office after Thursday.
Yeah, box office after Thursday. But, the fighters have still got them. So if you're going to go, try and get some tickets from them.
Excellent. Right, so that covers, I think, everything that's happened over the last week, everything that's going to happen. There's Monaco on the horizon for Derek.
Cardiff
for Frank.
And we could have somebody else on the card.
Somebody else that might be on the...
we can talk about... We're in negotiations, so we might have 2 fighters.
That's an interesting one if that comes off.
You know what it is, don't you?
Yeah. No, I'd be interested if that comes off.
But at the end of the day, the point is that when somebody's offered money for a fight, I don't think I'm unreasonable. But in my opinion, if somebody's going to try and underpay and take advantage of somebody because they think somebody's going to be so desperate to fight on the Joshua undercard, then that's not going to happen. So I'm not, as a manager, I'm not going to allow that.
And that's why you're there.
I'm not having my fighter shortchanged.
And that's why you're there, isn't it? At the end of the day, is to make sure they get the fair deal.
Yeah.
And did your phone go when Pulev pulled out?
No.
No calls for Derek Chisora.
That wouldn't happen. He's got his own path, fighting for the European title. And the interesting about the heavyweight division, I think they're going to do the early part of next year. One of these
the Super Series. Really?
Definitely coming. Early next year.
For heavyweights.
Heavyweights.
That's exclusive.
It's coming. And
wow.
So obviously,
Wilder, Joshua.
Well, I would imagine Joshua will go in it. The amount of money is involved. So the Super Series is coming. Hence, you could possibly see the reason why a lot of these heavyweights are avoiding each other. Yeah. You could see people like, in my opinion, David Haye, Anthony Joshua, Dylan White, Wilder, Chisora, they could all be in the mix. And I think that's come. I am fairly sure that I am as sure that's coming. That's the next one.
Although I think when you look at who's taken part in these ones, I'd be surprised if Deontay Wilder was involved as an Al Heyman fighter.
If you knew how much money's floating around.
Well, they're taking the final of the cruiserweights to Saudi Arabia. They announced.
Let me tell you, the money involved dwarfs anything they can earn anywhere else.
Yeah, even Joshua.
Joshua will earn more in that than he will from his fights. So I think. You don't think so? Josh is shaking his head. If the figure that I was told by somebody on Saturday or Friday, whenever it was, is true, then it's more.
Yeah.
But again, I've not been privy to dealing with it, but I can tell you that's coming. And I'm really looking forward to it. That's why I think you'll find that these heavyweight, the better ones, are going to avoid fighting each other at the moment.
Yeah.
Because they're going to wait for.
Yeah, keep their records intact and.
Yeah. Maybe Tyson Fury back in it. You never know.
Perhaps. I was wondering where all the money for this is coming from, and then they announced Saudi Arabia is going to host the final, and it's suddenly all.
But I've got to say, I worked with the Sowlands on this show with all the fighters, and they were. I've got to say, I had a previous dealing with them when I first looked after Derek Chisora. That wasn't a particularly pleasant experience.
Yeah.
This dealing with them on this show, they were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
They kept their word. They were fair in what they paid. They were just great to deal with. So I'd like to work with them again. They were brilliant.
And Callow is now my second favourite man in boxing. Outside of yourself, is Callow is far and away the best.
Yeah.
Wow, he's something else, that man.
Yeah, but
he's flying.
He's always at one. No, but I've got to say they've been great. I deal with Nissa more than Calla, and he was great to deal with. So hopefully we'll work with him a little bit closer going forward.
Excellent. Right, we'll move on to the questions. And again, thank you for all the questions that we get through. They're very much appreciated. So please do submit them during the week, and I'll capture them. We'll start with one that was a follow-on from last week when we were discussing about how the fighters are managed. And one from Sam Khan says, I learnt a lot from last week's episode. Can fighters manage themselves, and how did the British Boxing Board of Control get around that?
Right, a fighter has to hold a licence for 3 years. So once you've had a licence for 3 years as a boxer, you then qualify to be a manager. So then you can manage yourself.
Yeah. And
I've had Dillian White, for example, manages himself.
Does he?
Yeah.
George Groves did for a while. I don't know if he still does or not.
Yeah, I think he still does. Well, his wife does a lot of his dealings. And fighters do tend to manage themselves. Whether as a general rule that's a great thing, I'm not so sure. I know a fighter that went up, he's a world champion, who went up and tried to get his licence, and he got thrown out because he didn't know any of the answers about the rules of management. So,
just assumed you could do it.
Just assumed you could do it, and he wouldn't have had a clue what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure. But the reason they do it, they want to cut the manager out and don't want to pay a manager.
Yeah.
So by managing themselves and paying a £300 a year licence fee, they think they can do it. Whether that is actually beneficial to them in the long term, I have severe doubts. I think, to be honest, the reason a lot of boxers try and manage themselves is the standard of management out there is really poor.
Yeah.
And there are some good managers out there, but there are many that aren't too good.
So you can't do a lot worse than if you've had a bad experience.
You probably think, I can't be any worse myself than I am with some of the others. And I think with some of the stories I hear about some of these people, it's I can see why they try and do it. But if you get a good manager, I think the manager's worth his weight in gold, especially if you're like me, you don't charge them 25%, which I think is extortion.
Yeah.
So if the manager's being really fair and doesn't charge a boxer very much money, and is brilliant or excellent at what they do, then it's a no-brainer.
I think for someone like George Groves as well, he's an exception in that his career at this point will manage itself through to when he retires.
And I think George has actually got the knowledge to do it.
Yeah.
So I think with George, for example, I think that the knowledge he's absorbed, and from what I understand, he's quite clued up. And I think that George himself is probably one of the few boxers who can actually do it and do it well.
Excellent. Right, we'll move on. Question from Sam O'Reilly at Fight Talk. Check out Fight Talk, always doing interesting things, interviewing fighters from all around the world, and do a lot of stuff with your lads.
Great job.
Question from Sam, realistically, how far away are we from a Goodwin Boxing arena show?
Need TV money. So, I don't know, it's something I toured with about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And the plan was to do an afternoon stroke evening of boxing.
You checked out some venues as well.
Yeah.
I think you got.
I mean, the problem you've got is if we go to an arena, Wembley doesn't sell. Believe it or not, Wembley does not sell.
Yeah.
And no matter who you put on there, it just doesn't sell out anymore. People, for some reason, don't want to go there. I actually quite like Wembley, but a lot of people don't like it. And if you look last week, it wasn't that heavily sold.
A lot of the tickets were handed out, I believe, at the Spurs game in the afternoon.
Oh, were they? Is that true? I didn't know that.
Apparently, yeah.
But it really wasn't. It really wasn't exciting. I think Wembley's a problem. The O2 is colossally expensive.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about arenas, it's very difficult. You need an arena. For us, you would need an arena that is fairly priced, but with you'd need about 4,000 people, minimum 5,000 to be able to sell.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a venue at the cost without TV money that can do it. I think it's saying we will get there, but just not in the imminent future.
Okay, not entirely dissimilar to that question from the Seven Wolves boxing. Do you ever see a model where you get salaried boxers?
No, because you get that in the amateur game, don't you?
Yeah.
As a pro, if you give a boxer a salary and it's a decent salary,
you lose the incentive.
They lose the incentive. And knowing boxers as I know them, some of them struggle to be incentivised anyway, and they're only inspired by getting in the ring to earn money. So I think that in reality, it just wouldn't be a model that would work. It's not like yourself or me that go to a job and do this job.
Yeah.
I think boxers tend to have a different mindset.
Well, you can pick and choose your own hours and your own intensity of which you're doing something.
Yeah, boxers need to be. They've got to be paid fairly and paid well, but I still think they need that hunger.
Yeah.
As such.
All right, question from Paul Oldtie. If you managed Joe Joyce, would you have started him with a 10-rounder against a good domestic level fighter like Lewison?
Well, they wanted Sam Sexton as well. They wanted either one.
Okay.
So they were going to take who was the current British champion on their debut. To me, I don't see him in the gym. David Hayes made that decision, so who am I to say I'm a better judge than David Hay? I think that would be disrespectful to David Hay, because realistically he would be a far better judge than I am. So I think we'll find out the answer on Friday, and I'd rather watch what happens on Friday and make the decision as to whether he's made the right decision afterwards. From a base point of view, probably not. I think it's a really hard fight, but you've also got to remember David Hay is also looking from a promoter's hat on. He needs to stage if Joe Joyce was fighting a Lithuanian road sweeper, this show would just not look great.
Yeah.
And they're hanging their show, the way that he's promoting this show is hanging it on the top of the bill.
It's a risk-reward factor, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's got that as well, that he's got to fulfil something for the TV company.
Yeah.
And it's all about, unfortunately, the second fight, O'Donnell Mucha fell apart. So they've got the one big fight plus the Hutchinson and Page and then the undercard. So I think there's a two-pronged thing. He needed to put Joe Joyce in a decent fight. And I suppose also it's his attitude. If he doesn't beat Ian Lewison, then he's not the fighter that David Hay wants to stick all the money behind.
Yep. Question might be a controversial one, we'll find out. From Porky Russ.
Oh my God, it's got to be controversial. Good old Russ. As long as it's not hate mail, we're okay.
No, he's involved up with Dennis Hobson, isn't he?
No, he's a nice guy actually, Russ. I like him.
Yeah, I thought Dennis Hobson's show on Friday night up in Sheffield looked really good on Free Sports.
No, he's great, Russ. He says what he thinks, and I like people.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Can you ask Steve if Joe Gallagher warrants the hype as a master trainer, as the Smiths are currently 0-10 and 0, so they've won none, lost 10, versus former or current world champions? Joe Gallagher, who, I think you said things before about that maybe.
I've never said anything bad about him. All I say is the truth, but unfortunately he doesn't like the truth. So I would say, so I'll answer again truthfully. Is he overhyped? Yes, he is. Are there trainers out there I believe that are far better than him that are not recognised yet? Yes, I do. I think that, from what I understand, the general part of his career has been taking over fighters that are already proven. Callum Smith is an exception, obviously, but we haven't seen Callum at the top level yet to see whether he can do it. So he's been taking over other people's fighters and doing it with them. So I'd like to see him with a calibre of fighter that I believe other trainers can develop. In other words, those that are not TV stars. If we take people like Marcus Morrison, who is not a ready-made fighter, I don't think he's done very well with him, has he?
No.
So
took the loss and then the draw with guy I mentioned earlier from Sheffield.
Yeah, so I think Time Booth.
Yeah, that's
so to me, I would say he's overrated. Whereas you take someone like Adam Booth, I don't think he's overrated. I think Adam Booth is a real deal as a trainer.
Yeah.
So I'm just being honest, that's my opinion. And if somebody reports it back to Joe, I'd say it to his face, that's my opinion. And you've got to accept people's opinion without getting touchy and upset about something that, when people say what they believe to be the truth. And maybe that would help him become a better trainer if he could do that.
We'll move on. Paul Altai again, touch on trainers. Do you think Eubank Jr. should be allowed to wrap his own hands?
Well, Derek Chisel wrapped his own hands at Liverpool. Did you see that? So I was in the dressing room with Derek before he went out of Liverpool, and he wrapped his own hands. It's the first time I've ever seen it. I think if fighters want to wrap their own hands and they think they can do a good enough job, that's fine.
Does Derek always do that, or was it because it was a bit of a run out up in Liverpool?
Well, he said he's going to do it he said he was going to wrap his own hands over in where are we going?
Monaco. Long day.
Well, it's been a long day. He said he's going to do it there as well, so he wrapped his own hands. He was comfortable doing it. If that's what they want to do, fair dues to them. It's up to them.
All right. Another question from the Seven Wolves. With recent signings, what is Steve's strategy? Are we seeing a drift towards more amateur pedigree, or is it just a coincidence?
Just a coincidence. It's we're there to manage everybody at every level. What's been happening lately, we're getting a lot more of the amateur kids coming to us, but I also, as you know, today we had an inquiry from somebody who's quite a high level existing pro.
Yep.
So we're getting a mixture, but I'm happy to do both. And it's just not, I think the last week we've signed 5. I've got another one signed tomorrow. And the one tomorrow is an amateur as well, really good amateur from not too far from here. And what we're doing now is we're just getting those people approach us. As you know, we don't approach anyone.
Yeah.
So we sit here and wait for the phone to ring. We never poach, we never do anything with somebody in contract, we don't do anything like that. So at the moment we're getting a lot of kids wanting to turn over from scratch. So it is just coincidence, but we're looking for talented kids. And what I would like to stress is we don't take everybody that comes to us either, because we turn some kids away and tell them to get more experience, to go back amateur, to do unlicensed, whatever it is they want to do. So when you see the ones that we sign, they are the ones that have gone through the process.
There's a filter that's taken
There's a filter,
place.
yeah. So it just shows you how many people do approach us, and we're grateful for everyone that does. But that is just a coincidence. But the more talented kids that come our way, the merrier.
All right, question, again, probably not dissimilar, well, it's along the same theme, from Ian O'Way. Would you ever risk an 18-year-old novice pro to go in with a 27-year-old fully grown man who was also a novice pro? Now, I think this is on the back of the Next Gen show.
William Webber.
Yeah, where it was Michael Ballingall's fight, wasn't it?
That was what you consider shocking management, right? Or promoting, whoever made that decision. I know Peter Sims, who I've got the utmost respect for, trains William Webber. I know the matchmakers at Matchroom, who I've got the utmost respect for, but somebody's dropped a serious bollock here.
But I think it's fair to say, from what I understand, from knowing a couple of the fighters on that show, the matchmaking was left until fairly last minute for a lot of circumstances. So there's a very good chance Michael Ballingall's phone didn't go until probably, Wednesday, Thursday?
But I knew about Michael's kid. Why do you think we haven't used him? He's been there waiting for a fight for 5 months. Michael's on the phone to me trying to get him to take fights. There's a reason. Now, the kid's strong and tough. He's not the most technically gifted. If I was putting him in with somebody like a Linus Udofia, for example, you may consider that to be an okay fight. Maybe a Brad Pauls, maybe. Yeah. Not a kid.
An 18-year-old.
I mean, that was just, and that kid's career, he'll never be, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think Webber will ever be the fighter he was going to be because of that.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Maratta squad. I suggest we've got a Chelsea fan with that name. I want to know, where does Dan Keenan go from here? Is he as important as he was pre-Saturday?
He's more important because he needs more help and more support. I spoke to Dan after the fight. I spoke to Dan in length yesterday. It's easy when a fighter keeps winning and they think they've got it right to pat him on the back, say yeah. He's more important now to me because he needs my help more than he needed my help before Saturday.
So to quantify it for anyone that doesn't know, he lost on Saturday night, his first loss in his career.
He was 6-0, and now he's 6-1.
Yeah,
and he lost, and he deserved to lose. I
think he admits that himself as well.
We spoke about it. He's a good kid because he really gets it, and he knows why he lost.
Yeah,
he knows why he lost. It's easy when you're 6-0 and you've got a legion of people supporting you and slapping you on the back, telling you how wonderful you are. They were all telling him afterwards that he was robbed, and he said, "I wasn't robbed. Stop going on." But when you get people that are just patting you on the back and telling you how wonderful you are, you become complacent. And Dan had become complacent. listen, he's fighting at 11 stone 1, right? He should be a super lightweight. He should be near the 10 stone mark. And he knows that. He definitely needs to you know, he was saying he was going through the motions in training. When he needed that extra bit of running, he was not doing it. Now, I think it was the best thing that could ever happen to him. But what he now needs, he's got a fantastic trainer in Barry O'Connell and Brian G. Wilson, and they're brilliant people. They will support him, will support him. Dan Keenan will win titles, and that will end up being the best thing that's ever happened in the career. So the answer is he's more important now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair as well. I think... and it comes off the back of probably what was his career best performance in his previous fight. Yeah. So maybe that is where the complacency comes from.
He's only 20.
I know.
He's 20 years of age, right? And he's just started up his business. He's got a new business he started up. He will be a very, very, very good fighter. And he just needed that. Yeah. Because he'll never, ever make that same mistake again.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it when you're 20, not when you're 30.
Exactly.
Question from David Payne. On the back of what's happened with Joshua and the entire fallout, what happens and what is a contingency plan when a fighter pulls out of the headline bout at 2 weeks' notice? I suppose it's different for you than it is for Eddie.
We haven't got the money that Matchroom had.
Well, so what's the deal? Eddie says that he had almost like an insurance policy of paying Carlos Takam.
Yeah, so we're going to pay Carlos Takam a fee to keep himself free. Yeah. Because as you know, Pulev, there was reportedly a problem when he signed. Yeah. So, being kind, you could say Pulev wouldn't move aside, so you put him in the book, but what you don't know is how really likely this fight ever was to take place. Yeah. So, Takam was kept in reserve, so that if Pulev pulled out, he's the next available contender, and not being funny, he's a very weak contender. So, they would have paid Pulev an amount of money to be in reserve, and that money would be uplifted if the fight takes place. So, that's what's happened. So, as Pulev pulls out, Takam comes in.
Yeah. So allegedly he was going to be on the Monaco card in a week and a half, 2 weeks' time, but I'm not sure I ever saw that advertised. Or
not as far as I was aware.
No, it seems very convenient. So you know, yes, he's definitely been sparring and preparing for a fight, and he can.
I don't believe that.
I bet he's been on KFC. Probably. He's been down McDonald's. He's just been filling up, and he's going to get wiped out by Joshua.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And now they're paid. Now the remaining tickets that are sold are probably going to struggle to sell. Although I've got to say, I think the undercard's really good.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting fights.
White Alanius.
Your fight, I think that's a fantastic fight.
Frank against Callum Johnson.
Yeah. No, I'm all right with it.
But it is what it is. I think with Joshua, to be honest, people are buying for the event rather than the fight.
You're not buying for blooming Kubrat Pulev, but it is disgraceful to me. I'm not saying this one's like Goodwin Boxing, but as me personally, to not offer refunds to fans. I think that's absolutely disgraceful. I think because there will be a very small percentage, 1%, 2%, that are there to see Kubrat Pulev. I feel for those people that aren't able to get their money back from it.
It's not cheap, is it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I get. I mean, I think perhaps the Buck should. I'm not convinced Pulev was ever going to fight.
No, he's got a beautiful wife at home. Just stay at home. Be with her.
Exactly.
She's all right. I'm not allowed to say that after my spat with Lily Allen.
No, exactly. Anything going on the romantic front with her?
Not with Lily? No. My wife watches this.
Okay.
Question from.
Anyway, she's not nicer than your wife anyway.
No. My wife is always number one.
Exactly. Good on Claire.
Question from Titch or Tash, Paddy Fitzpatrick's friend down in Swindon. Really relevant question. As a promoter, and so someone liable to carry the cost, what does he think should be done to combat violence at boxing shows? I think it's on the back of there was a tragic death of the kid in Walsall. There were those ugly scenes from Wembley Arena.
Well, it's difficult. I think. So, I mean, there's been Goodwin shows running at York Hall for 7 years. We've had the odd little bit of trouble, but it's not been that bad. The time we did have trouble, we were aware that there was a potential clash between fans. Yeah. And we had warned the security, so it was dispelled quite quickly. We have had times when we haven't put fights on because we think that it will cause trouble. So I think a lot of the time you can anticipate when there is going to be trouble. When Leon Mackenzie fought Jermaine Smile, there was potential for a little bit of trouble. The security were well on it and in advance and controlling it. So I think you have to be sensible as a promoter as to who you put on, what you put on, and also be aware of the risk of rival supporters. At Wembley, there were, everybody was mixed in together, and there were particular sections of certain boxes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into to get myself in any trouble, but you knew there were going to be trouble before you did, and put them all in together. It's going to be a war. And unfortunately, that's what they did. They were all sitting together and decided to kick off.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen various suggestions of like ban alcohol or get the police into a venue, but I think
we can also say at Wembley, SAUK, who are the big guys, who are just really
Andy Brown and co.
They were only guarding the downstairs.
Yes, because they only do the ring, and then the venue do
the upstairs. So I would suggest that, and the venue and those security.
They were kids.
They were kids. They're not going to stop anything. So the thing was, SAUK are down the bottom looking at the trouble like that, and then up the top they're all having a free fall, karate kicks and everything.
I saw a clip where a young lad in like a yellow vest. There were all these like what looked like football hooligans kicking off up on in the seating, and this child in a vest goes to he hops over one seat, has a look and thinks, nah, like £10 an hour, I'm not doing that, I'm out of it.
So you've got a question.
If you chucked Andy Brown in there, Andy Brown would wipe them all out.
And Neil, 6'9", total machine. Like they'd go in there, they'd just go piling in. Put Clifton Mitchell, Andy Brown, and Neil. My God, they just annihilate a lot of them. I mean, not being funny, you can't have Wembley, which is where most of the people at the top. Remember, it's all corporates down the bottom, no trouble. At the top, where the cheaper seats are, with all due respect, where all the trouble's going to be, and put kids as stewards. It's ridiculous. I blame the venue, and I blame there being a lack of understanding of what they're doing.
So do you think the venue should employ more of the professional security teams
up the top and have more people? Yeah, and also at Walsall, I don't know who was in charge of that, but I've seen lots of security firms at boxing who are just like little kids.
Yeah.
And you've got to really, some of these security firms aren't capable of running these shows. We have SAUK, they're brilliant. They are the best.
I would say every single pocket of violence or trouble, not violence necessarily, that I've ever seen at your shows, SAUK wipe it out immediately, drag out whoever needs to be dragged out, and
also the other thing about security is also that whenever there's a Goodwin show, we have a full security team. Other promoters cut back on security costs and have a lot less security, or have the cheaper security. So there needs to be a question.
So do you think it needs to be an amalgamation between the promoter and the venue, especially when you start scaling up the venue to something like a Wembley Arena, that there's an agreement between, the professional security people handle everything?
Definitely. I mean, we've been dealing with a security thing in the last 2 weeks with something else, and you just put your hand in and think, oh my God. But it's not a difficult problem to solve. We don't get problems, and we were going to once have a fight between, who was it going to be? It was it Michael Devine against Liam Shinkwin, and then we clocked, hold on a minute, this is Luton Watford. The places, so we scrapped the fight because it was going to be trouble.
That crossover, Rob Brennan sent a question.
Okay.
Have you ever not put on a fight on one of your shows because you feared that one or both fighters had support which would likely lead to crowd
Michael
trouble?
Devine, Liam Shinkwin. That would have gone off, so we scrapped the fight.
Yeah, and Michael brings a big following with him as well.
I mentioned Luton Watford, I used to shove at football.
Yeah.
That have just used it. We were tipped off that at Watford, because my nephew, he said, we'd heard round when the fight was being announced, all round the ground, they're going, we're going to go and kick off the Luton at the boxing, so we scrapped it.
Yeah, and I think that's also a risk. Football in the 80s and kind of early 90s went through it, and I think maybe people, that way inclined have realised that you can go to boxing venues and you don't have the same security you have at a football venue. You don't have the same CCTV and all those kind of things necessarily.
But I've got to say, I can only say from our point of view, the Goodwin team, or the franchises and the promoters associated with us, I think must have now staged coming on for between 80 and 100 shows.
Yeah.
And the amount of trouble is minuscule.
Yeah.
So, but there is no cut back on quality or numbers of security.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on from there. Paul Oldtie again. Which belt do you see as the most prestigious in world boxing?
think the belt, who's got the best champion? I think there's so many. I don't think you can say any particular. I mean, historically it's always been WBCs, hasn't it? But I think reality, if you're fighting for a heavyweight title, it's whichever belt Anthony Joshua's got, and I think reality now it's more about who you're beating for the belt rather than the letters on it.
I think we were saying last week about, you know, even like the Commonwealth belt is seemingly getting more meaningful again because of who's fighting for them.
Correct.
And it scales up to the world title. I'd say in 5 years' time, perhaps it won't be a belt. It'll be that Muhammad Ali trophy that is perhaps maybe the most prestigious thing to hold in boxing. Because if it carries on in the same way the crews have done, super middles maybe not without Benavidez, without James DeGale, but you know, if you could start to attract the best of the best, that becomes
the number one.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
and the world titles actually almost become less relevant on the back of it.
But if the problem that they got with that, and I don't know the finances, but it looks like the amount invested is colossal, and I can't see, there must be a real hole of money going down this. So is somebody going to continue to pour the money in, because I can't see where the return's coming?
Saudi Arabia.
You reckon that's where it's coming from, do you?
Well, that's where the final is for the cruisers. I'd imagine that's a lot of money.
Maybe it's all coming from there. So if the money continues to pour in and they pay the boxers as well as they're paying them, then that's going to be more important than the world title. Hence why I said Joshua, Wilder and all of these people are going to hunt for that.
Final question, Craig, again at Fight Talk. What did you make of Louis Adolphi's situation? Would you consider signing and promoting someone with that negative public perception? So again, it's probably worth adding the context.
Can I ask you something? Then I'll ask you a question. Okay? Do you think that Louis Adolphi, for what he did on Saturday, has a more negative public perception than Derek Chisora, who threw the table last year at Dillian White?
It depends which story you believe about Louis Adolphi. So there's clearly the thing about he hits the lad after the break in the ring. I don't think that makes his public perception that bad. I think it makes him a bit of a pantomime baddie. If you then believe that he went backstage and punched Nathan McIntosh in the changing room,
I was told by Nathan McIntosh's manager, who I respect, Carl Greaves, that it happened.
Okay,
and the mother.
Yeah, and then apparently, allegedly, went out and attacked the mother in the stands.
That apparently is what I was told. And look, then you've got Derek Chisora. To be honest, I don't think he's done anything that bad to one, and I'm quite happy to look after Derek Chisora. If Louis Adolphi rang me up tomorrow, then I wouldn't take him on. And look, I don't think Louis Adolphi's a bad person. I'm just saying personally, I wouldn't want to work with that situation. But, and I'm not being, I don't want somebody shooting me saying Louis Adolphi's a nice guy. He may well be, but if he has hit the boxer in the dressing room, and if he has attacked the boxer's mother, it's not really a question that anybody's going to deal with anyway, because I imagine he'd be banned.
Yeah, I mean, also when you look at Derek, he had a history where he's a little bit up and down, but then he had the fun side. Like I remember the first Fury fight when he had the video clips of him in like a Del Boy car, and and there was a little bit of like fun to Derek, and he built up some credit with fans prior to what had.
I think the fans have actually really turned to like him now, and I think he's earned the respect from the fans, specifically after the Dillian White fight. I think people have got behind him, and I think he's great. He's unpredictable, but I think he's a decent guy. And the Louis Adolphi was sharing the same dressing room as I was in with Dan Keenan and Dean Richardson, and my God, he was really hyped up when he came back. I've always thought Louis Adolphi is a terrific talent, but I believe, and again, the board will have to find out the truth of it, but if it is true, I don't think he'll be boxing again.
Okay.
Because you can't, I would imagine he'll have his licence taken away if it's true, so they'll find out. If it's not true, then, and it was just what happened in the ring, I would say that wasn't very good, but you'd always give him a second chance.
No, absolutely.
So I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if the outside the ring stuff's happened, then from my point of view, you wouldn't want to be associated with
He hasn't built that bank of credit that you'd give to, say, a Chisora.
No, but Chisora wouldn't attack somebody to attack a fan or mother or the other boxer outside the ring. You'd never see him do that, even after the Dillian White fight.
Maybe in a press conference with Hay, but that was antagonised. To be fair.
So, what we're talking about is something different. If you go to a bar,
oh, absolutely,
you go up to a bar and you go your way to find somebody who you should be fighting in the ring and attack them outside the ring. If that happens,
but
I mean, you had the Hay Chisora thing that just went off, but you see, even today, Don Charles was in David Hayes' gym and they give each other a hug. So You know, and they've had that trouble. So that's just passed. When Chisora fought Dillian White in December, now they don't like each other, but they still embraced in the dressing room after the fight.
Yeah.
So they knew they'd been in a war together. They embrace each other and say thank you for the fight, but they still hate each other.
Even though their dressing rooms are opposite ends of...
Yeah, they still met in the middle of the corridor, and they come up and they congratulated each other. So you didn't see them trying to fight each other in the dressing room.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you can't detest each other more than those two do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. So, again, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for your questions. Steve's going to be down at the O2 for supporting his lads, along with the rest of the team, with Josh and Kev and myself on Friday.
I'm looking forward to Friday. Tune in to Dave. Let's have a look and see how it all looks and goes. I'm looking forward to the Joyce Lewison fight.
Yeah.
There's another boxing on Friday. Make sure you tune into that, because one thing is for sure, that is not going to be a snooze fest. It's not going to be a... I think you're going to bombs away from round one, and I think it could end up being one of two things. It could end up being one of the great heavyweight clashes ever, or it could end up being a real messy fight. But I think it could end up being the former, and I think we could be in for a really fantastic fight.
Or you end up with two lads gassed out after 6 rounds that we'll find out.
I think it's well worth watching.
I think it's brilliant. I also think it'd be interesting to see how the Indigo looks as a venue, because it's
Definitely.
the theatre set up rather than the round set up. I think it's great. Like, give it a chance and support it on free-to-view TV.
Because this is a project, what David Hay is doing here. This isn't a one-off. He's trying to work with Dave TV and other TV stations to bring free-to-air on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I think it needs all the public support, and we're proud to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Right, excellent. We shall see you next week when Steve will be getting ready for Monaco. He'll be recovering from the O2.
Cardiff next week. Cardiff first, Monaco the week after.
Is it? Crikey, I need to get my diary in order. Excellent. So take care. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you soon.
Cheers.